It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? Welcome to our Facebook page. Welcome to YouTube. Welcome to AM and FM in the city of Buffalo, New York, well, Western New York. Guess where I'm at today? I am at Canisius High School. Now, I want you to share this. I want you to tell somebody, because I got some wonderful students here. Some big advances at one of the most prestigious private schools in the city of Buffalo is going on at Canisius High. Just for the record, when we go to these schools, they are not sponsors of our show. We choose to come out and speak to students, hear their perspective. And as you know, Canisius High School has been very active on the political front. Like they actually, for those of you who might be watching out of town, hold debates right here at the
No, that's
school.
St. Joe's you're thinking of.
Oh, St. Joe's.
You're thinking about the kids at Kenmore. Don't do that here. Don't do
you
that
guys
here.
don't hold any debates? I thought you guys held a debate before. I goofed up already.
Yeah, don't do that here.
They actually don't hold debates. It's been a long week. Another homicide funeral this week, unfortunately. Young man, and broke my heart to hear his mother cry like she did.
Yeah.
That was, and you know, we do a lot, but every time it's a lot. Listen, we gotta come together on the violent stuff because this is really getting bad. And so my heart goes out to that mom. The family of Ron Brown, like one of the most dapper dudes in City Hall. He gave me a tie one time.
Yeah.
Took it off his neck. Was walking past me. I said, Ron, that's a nice tie. He said, here, take it. I'm like, nah. I kept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, silk.
Yeah, you're going to
no polyester.
Yeah, you
no
keep
polyester.
the silk ones.
Silk. He took it off of his neck. A member of Elam Church, and is going to be missed. Let me tell you what I did. Now, I've been cooking. I've been cooking. I cooked a hamburger so good the other day. My 13-year-old said, this is the best hamburger I ever had in my life. You ever had In-N-Out? You all ever had an In-N-Out burger? All right, I've never had one. My mother loves In-N-Out burgers when we're out of town. I did a copycat, found it on, of course, on YouTube. Copycat of In-N-Out burger. Bruh, you cook it with mustard. Yes, sir.
Wait. Hold on. So let's slow this down for a second.
Yeah.
So you put the mustard on the raw patty,
while it's on the grill.
While it's on the grill. Okay.
So mustard it down. I can't go through all the secret sauce right now, but you mustard it down. Pickles, lettuce, tomato. You put butter on the bun, and then you cook the bun. Let me tell you this. So okay, I did that Wednesday. Last night, I called myself gonna make fajita, so I bought some roast steak. You know, because it was on sale at Tops.
Yeah.
Because it probably was going to expire in 2 minutes. Yeah. It wasn't green yet, but it was on the way.
Or brown. Or the raw brown.
So I didn't know how tough it was going to be. So I do my research, like the students here. I do my research. Natural way to tenderize beef. And it says baking soda.
I've heard that.
30 minutes. Okay. I put it in the baking soda, and in my head, if 30 minutes is good, 3 hours is better.
Where's Rachel?
He starts laughing. I had it all cut up. I got my onions, I've got the peppers, I'm ready to go. Monique is sitting there. She's like, oh, man, I just love when you cook. I'm cooking. It ain't looking right. Now, I knew to rinse the baking soda off. I got ready to throw it in there, but I rinsed it off. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yeah.
Then I said, I better taste a little piece. I tasted, I'm like, maybe this ain't seasoned because it ain't seasoned. I give a piece of this to Monique, who hates the taste. She hates it. And normally she'd be like, oh, babe, oh, yeah. She's like, right? So what do you think I do? Take it back out and wash it again.
After you, wait. After you cooked it?
I watched it again. I tell my failures just like I tell the good stuff that I do. I tell my failures. Watched it again, cooked it, heated it. It just ain't worked. Had to throw it out. So guess what we had last night? In-N-Out Burgers.
In-N-Out Burgers.
I'm at a very, very good school. I have students here, and I'm getting right to it because I got a lot of students coming in and out. I love it. Mark, I won't talk about that. I have this is Canisius.
Canisius High School.
I got a text last night from a former student by the name of Sharif Ali. Mm-hmm. One of the teachers who just came in here knows Sharif, and he was Sharif's teacher. Sharif was amazed that there is a is it called Black Student Union? Yeah. Black Student Union at Canisius.
Yes.
Now, if you're not from Buffalo, you got to understand even the location of Canisius. You got to understand that there's no rent on this street that is less than probably $2,500. Right. Very prestigious school. Are any of the officers of the union here? Any of you officers?
Yeah, so all of us except for Jerry.
You can pull that mic a little
closer. Pull that mic a little closer. All right, tell them your name.
I'm Jacob Hainsworth.
You're Jacob. And what year are you here?
I'm a senior at Canisius.
You're a senior. Give him a little bit more mic. You're a senior at Canisius. You've been here the whole ride?
Yep.
All right. Tell me, when did this, because Sharif was like, when I was there, I was trying to do stuff like that, and it just wasn't happening. Did this happen since you've been here?
So it was like freshman year, you don't really get to do much because you're getting acclimated to the school and all. Sophomore year, COVID hit. Junior year, which kind of focused on colleges and stuff. But the summer going into my senior year, I realized there's like a lot of black students at this school, but we don't really interact with each other. We're all in like separate cliques, and there's
That's
not really much camaraderie. You know what I mean? Like it's like athletes on one side, people that are in certain clubs over there, and we don't really interact with each other all that much. So I was like, all right, well, how can we, bring it together, especially for incoming freshmen who may not know like the environment they're going to enter into, so that it can be a more like welcoming community.
So tell me the process. So you then go to the administration, or was it a group of you guys that finally talked and got in the same room?
I was just at home, and I was like, well, I got to tell someone about this. So I email the principal, who then relayed it to the now principal, Mr. Coppola. And so he's like, this sounds great. Let's go with it. So when the school year started, I met with him, and he was like, all right, I want you to gather a group of people that you can split the load with. So it's a lot for one person. So
yeah,
get people on board that you guys can set the foundation, right? And then it can carry on for years after. Because if you do it sloppy in the beginning, it's never going to last.
So this was Mr. Coppola who told you that.
Yes.
So big up, and he's the new principal.
Yes.
Right? I just read that in the paper.
He is the new principal.
So big ups to Principal Coppola, because every principal in every school is not accepting of this, and they want to act as if it is not needed. So you put this, you and a group of people put this together, and you have a support network from the school as far as staff?
Yeah, so when I first thought of people to go with, it was pretty easy for me. So I went with Tim Sanders, Austin Martin, Julian Johnson.
I know a Tim Sanders.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, that's right.
Yes, Mark already warned me.
And then I needed a junior to come along that was going to be able to continue it to the next year. So
I'm loving it.
Kendall Wood. So.
All right, so Tim, you come along and you agreed. Tell me why a Black Student Union. Well, first of all, I'm amazed to hear that students of color were not already united, but that it's needed here. Why a Black Student Union?
Now, if you don't mind, I want to give a little backstory.
Absolutely.
So, when I first came to Canisius, I was coming from a predominantly Black school. I was coming from Tapestry Charter School, which I was surrounded by mostly people who looked like me. And when I finally decided to make the decision to come to Canisius, I was like, well, I guess so, yeah. Because I knew coming in here two things. It was an all-boys school, and I was going to see almost nobody that looked like me. And so coming in, that's exactly what the case was. And fast forward to, junior to senior year, and Jacob reached out to me about making a Black Student Union. I really saw it as an opportunity to, make the community that I was looking for, and make sure that, no incoming freshmen have the same experience that I did or fear the same experience that I did because, like we were saying, it's really important to build that overall sense of community because, yes, there are the football players, there are like the different little cliques of black students here, and we really wanted to make this an opportunity to bring us all together as one whole community. And that's why I feel like it's important that we continue to do this and build a foundation this year so we can eventually pass it off to Kendall next year and see this, grow and form into things that you would never see out of a black student union, especially in a setting like this.
Well, what I think is so cool is the fact that you already thinking about who's replacing. And to me, I'm 57 years old. When you get to a certain, you're a senior. I'm about to enter into a different senior area.
Yeah.
You've got to bring people along.
Of course.
So whoever came up with that wisdom was very smart. So Kendall is taking over.
Yes.
All right, we're going to Kendall.
Yeah, you can
People are asking a question and I put up some on social media because they wanted to know what your future plans are. Because you're seniors. So what's your plan? And anybody would you just get to the mic? Anybody in the room, if you have a comment. What's your future?
All right, so for me, going through colleges, like the college search for me was a bit not fun. For a lot of people, it's like it's kind of something you have to do. Mm-hmm. But when I started researching colleges, I realized like Howard, the HBCU in DC was the school I wanted to go to. So that's my first choice. As far as majoring, economics, but pre-med is like my passion to go through.
All right.
It's a tough road ahead, but
I started at Livingstone College. I ended up coming back home and finishing here. But it was the experience of a lifetime because when I went to school, I graduated high school at 81 when I was 16 years old, and I didn't see people of color in Buffalo with big cars unless they were doing something wrong for the most part. You had one guy here, and his son is taking up his legacy. Herb Bellamy used to ride around in the biggest car, and he had a phone in his car. That was big then. And I don't mean a phone, you know how you got your cell phone? No, I mean you had to pick up the phone like and dial, push the buttons. And we would be so amazed because he had businesses. And so when I got to a historically black university and the dean was black, and many of my teachers were black. And, you're surrounded. It made me appreciate who I was. So big ups to you. Where are you going to?
So, kind of like Jacob, I was really interested in Howard. However, my whole life, I've always been, looking towards Canisius College. However, I realized it was more important to see at which location I would get the most out of because, it was really easy for me to get in the mindset of, I'm going to leave Buffalo and never come back. I'm going to be,
That was one of the questions that people asked. Where are you going to leave?
Yeah, leave and never come back and, do whatever you want to do. But I want to make sure whatever I learn in college or wherever I learn and wherever I continue or however I continue my life, I'm able to bring back here. I don't want to ever have to leave at least this setting. I want to be able to go out and maybe bring something back to Canisius or bring something back to the Black Student Union or bring back anything to Buffalo that I found valuable to myself and that I can see that would be valuable in my community.
Sounds great.
So wherever that leads me to.
Go ahead. Yes, sir. You can move that mic. Tell them your name.
Hi, everyone who's listening. My name is Dakari Sawyers. I'm also a senior at Canisius High School. And for me, my next step, I'm also attending Canisius College, which I'll be majoring in business, finance, and economics. But some of the side things I have going on, or side goals, I would say, is acquiring my real estate license. That's a field I'm interested in, and my overall goal is reshaping the whole landscape for subsidized housing or the housing market.
Now, before I go this way, our church builds affordable housing. Right now, we're doing housing in Niagara Falls and several buildings. When you talk about change it, what do you mean?
By changing, I mean, I've been over on the east side of Buffalo a couple times. I have family over there, and I just don't like the way the whole setup is, formatted. It's like a small, compact little box. You have everything you need to, live and survive, but at what quality?
Yeah.
It's nothing good. I hate seeing, people that look like me in such a just depressed environment. to come
So,
back.
so
and
you
see
would
the-
come and build more housing.
Yeah, being able to, like I said, reshape the landscape and just bring a whole new meaning. It's tough for people to, secure affordable housing, especially here in Buffalo with the real estate market, experiencing a boom. It's tough, and I want to, and continuing my further education at Canisius, I hope to bring back and just really, make a difference, being able to have people come back to their own home.
Man, come work for me in the summertime for this summer before you go to college. I'll get you some, and I mean that. You talk to Mark. I'll give you some experience in dealing with that and going out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk to me. You getting ready to take over?
Yes,
You a
I am.
junior. How long you been here?
I've been here since my freshman year. I've done all 3.
When you first got here, did you feel alone?
Somewhat, yes. I did the HAP program here, which is preparation of coming into Canisius High School. So I had a couple friends that I knew before I even set foot into Canisius High School. But also through sports and other activities like that, you meet some people. But
What do
yeah.
you play?
I used to play basketball.
You used to play basketball.
Yeah.
Tell them your name. Did you say?
Kendall Wood.
Kendall.
Yeah.
So, Kendall, where do you hope to take the Black Student Union from here?
Like Jacob said, first of all, I'm thankful to Jacob for putting that trust in me to, take over for the next year. But mostly what I'm trying to create here is sort of a longevity, because obviously Canisius is known for their very rich tradition. So I'm trying to put this in a place where it's not about me. I can pass this down as they did it to me and keep passing it down. That way it becomes a part of the Canisius tradition. And I want to create just more opportunities for kids that look like us outside of just, the average sports background where you come here, you play sports. I want to, because there's tons of talented students of color all over Buffalo, New York, and I'm trying to create it to where it's more than just, you come here, you play sports. I want to see, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an artist, you want to do music. I'm just trying to expand opportunities for people that look like us.
Tell me about how many people in your family, your immediate family, graduated college?
All of them.
All of them.
Yes.
Wow.
So is that something that is expected in your family?
Somewhat, yes.
Wow. Tell me some of their degrees.
My mother, she is the Associate Dean of the School of Education at Buffalo State. My father is a dentist. I have 2 sisters, one of them,
What's your father's name?
Kevin Wood.
Kevin Wood. Oh, I know Dr. Wood. Of course I know Dr. Wood. I think he's done something to a few of these teeth right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a sister who graduated with degrees from NYU and Harvard.
So was it expected that you were going to go, or was it expected? Like you doing nothing else but go to college?
Yeah, that was the goal. That's really the main reason why they sent me here, was to make sure that I had every opportunity I need to go to whichever college I wanted to.
All right, good. And I'm sure you will. Who's next at the table?
My name is Jerry,
Mm-hmm.
and then a little background information about me. My family immigrated to America when I was about 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Yemen,
Mm-hmm.
in the Middle East. And then I went to school 32,
What age did you come here?
around 2 years old.
So do you remember anything about Yemen?
I visited back home. My parents are from Ethiopia and Africa,
Mhm.
East Africa. Visited back home in 2011. It was amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
So then after going to school 32, this lady named Ms. Donna introduced me to Father Durkin.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the east side of Buffalo. It's called St. Augustine.
Yeah, I know St.
Yeah,
Augustine.
it gave many kids a shot, and then I was luckily one of them. And then it got me to the opportunity where I am today. And then I'm hoping to go to Canisius College to stay close to my family, study maybe sports medicine, and then go on to go to physical therapy.
So this guy I was telling you about, Sharif Ali, who went here, that's what he went on to do, is sports medicine. He studied sports medicine and graduated.
And I'm hoping to also play soccer there too. I'm a soccer
So will
player.
do you plan on moving away when you finish college?
Probably not, because this community did so much for me. I can't just leave it.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow. I'm coming around the table. Is Canisius a hard school? Tell them your name.
My name is Austin Martin. It's Canisius a hard school. I think it depends on how you define hard. I know it's
Okay.
not the answer you want to hear.
No, I want to hear whatever you say.
If you think you're a good student, and I always used to say about school, it's about how much you apply yourself. So if you apply yourself a lot, it's not a hard school. If you take advantage of what comes to you, it's not going to be hard.
How many hours a day do you study, average?
To be honest with you, I don't study that much, but on test day, you don't catch me on test day. But homework-wise, like I get about 2 hours a night.
Okay,
So
two-
it's not anything to laugh at. And if you come from a school like I used to go to Cleve Hill and Cheektowaga,
Yeah.
and so the homework load change is crazy. But I just had to adapt. So if you're willing to adapt, it's a school really anybody can be successful and they want you to be successful, but as long as you have to apply yourself.
What year is this for you?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior, so you're on your way out. Where are we going to next?
It's kind of a weird answer, but I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm
Good.
gonna plan on taking a gap year actually.
All right.
I'm gonna apply to Howard. I've been applying to do some nice ones out there. I checked out Princeton. But I don't really know what I want to do. And so
And that's okay.
yeah, I've been talking to everybody successful I've talked to has told me a gap year is a good idea. And I got a little plan. I'm working with some mentors. I'm trying to put something together, hopefully tour the country and interview people over 60 and put some videos together and then see what happens from there. I want to study logistics, but I don't know if it's a passion or just something that sounds interesting. So I just kind of lost right now, but I have a plan where I want to go, and I'm still moving forward. So.
And you're young. You're young. When you told your family that you were going to take a gap year, what was the response?
Actually, I wasn't. I was going to go straight to, I was going to shoot for like an Ivy, the nutritional path. My mom, she actually recommended it because when I always told her what I wanted to do, I used to always give the good answers, like engineering, easy. Nobody ever asked me no more questions. I want to go to medical. Everybody was like, oh, great. But when I sat down one day, I realized, like, I don't know. And I was just saying it to sound good. So she said, you should take a gap year. And it's, at my old school I went to, never really talked about. It was kind of like taboo. You go to college and you get your degree and you work.
Right.
But I just don't think the traditional path is what I really want to do. And so if I don't want to be traditional, I got to do untraditional things. And so she offered me a gap year. And I thought about it.
I love it.
And talked to my counselor. And I've been talking to some people that have kind of done the path I want to go down, entrepreneurship. And they've all said it's a good idea. So that's kind of, they should introduce it to me. So that's kind of how it happened.
I love it. I think that, we all have to find our path. We have to find, and I spent a lot of money trying to find my path, starting college for one thing and then finding out I don't like doing this. I remember when I started my master's, I was going for accounting. I hate accounting. I'm like, why am I getting ready to do something that I really don't like doing? And sometimes it just takes time, and that's a good thing. Your support network around you, as far as your school, because most people at Canisius, it's all talk about college. When you say gap year, what's the response of your peers?
Mostly just, it's not judgmental. I think at this school where potential for a lot of kids is so high, a lot of kids aren't taking traditional paths. So
Wow.
it's never been oh, that's crazy. It's mostly been like, that's interesting. I don't really talk about what I'm doing after school too much, so I haven't had too much experience, but for the most part when I talk about it, it's always just been interest, curiosity, and it's nice telling people about it because even at a school like this, gap years aren't really a thing that a lot of people do. And I think a lot more kids should look into it because a lot of kids have to make that mistake where they go into college, get in debt, and then don't like their degree. It's just a lot of stuff that I don't feel like you have to rush it, especially not how we live today where you can make money doing anything. So you take a gap year, get your money together, and figure out what you want to do. I feel like it's a lot better if you go into college focused than just kind of figuring out. So
All
I'm
right.
just kind of supportive for the most part.
Is there anybody here who Canisius is hard for you? Like you really have to study hard.
I got sophomores sitting over here that could probably speak.
Where's some sophomores? Come on, sophomores. I want to hear the one who tells me I really got to study, because I think some people think that everybody who comes to Canisius, they just instantly get it. And then they become intimidated by a Canisius High. And again, I want to say this for the record, that Canisius High School is not a sponsor of this show. We are here voluntarily.
We're
we're
being hosted by the Black Student Union, so we're here to highlight the fact that, and I was corrected yesterday, this isn't the first Black Student Union at Canisius. There was one in the 1970s, but they said it was one probably more of survival.
Yeah.
Not
And we're going
not
to talk
with
about
this.
that.
Yeah, not this.
We're going to talk about that. Like, is it still necessary? I think they've answered that. Sophomore?
Yes.
Tell them your name.
My name is Kyrie Wilkinson.
All right. So you've been here 2 years.
Yes.
Hard for you?
A little bit, yeah.
Let's talk about it. I mean, what school did you come from?
I came from Highgate Heights.
Do you think, and I'm going to ask real questions now. We did all the niceties. Let's get down to it. Do you think that students who come from other private schools are better prepared for Canisius?
Yes.
Wow.
I do.
As a parent, one day, like 30 years from now, when you become a parent, what would you, as far as education, your child, what would you decide or prefer?
I'll put them in a public school.
You put it in public?
Yeah.
And then what about high school?
Transition to private.
Like you did?
Yes.
Why? It's an
'Cause
interesting
I
answer.
feel like you get the best of both cultures.
Public school builds character.
Say that. Who said
Oh, no,
that?
you got to give him the mic.
You said public
You
school?
can take it off the stand if you need to.
Yeah. Public school builds character?
Yeah, so I went to Grand Island High School, which is a public school on Grand Island, obviously. And I would not have traded that for anything. And that's not because every single day was like amazing, but it was because there were so many terrible days that you kind of like you got to appreciate when I got here. I was like, oh, it's not terrible every single day. Like this is pretty nice.
Wait a minute. Now, come on. Grand Island.
You'd be surprised. You'd really be
Grand Island
surprised.
Public School? I
Yep.
thought you was going to say like McKinley, Inslee, Bennett, something. So Grand Island was
There's-
rough?
Yeah, it's not. It's more definitely socially at Grand Island. So
Okay.
I remember Tim talked about it. He Tapestry, so that's majority black.
Right.
Grand Island, very much PWI. So there's maybe 3 kids within the entire middle school that were also not even just black, but just like any minority.
Okay.
So it was like that was probably the hardest part about Grand Island. It's just like, man, there's really nobody that looks like me here. That's kind of crazy. So like when I got to Canisius and I was doing my shadow day, I was like, man, there's like 8, 9 kids just in the 5 seconds I was here. So I was like, oh, this is pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was like, okay, well, it's not that many people that are like not that many black people that are here, but it was so much more than I was used to seeing that it was like a really like good experience for me to be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So you came from which elementary?
Highgate Heights.
Okay. So you come from Highgate Heights. You come here.
Yes.
Culture shock?
Yes.
Tell me
It was
what
like-
shocked you most.
It was mostly like a lot of Caucasians. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was gonna be like a little bit more both from sides. You feel me? I had a lot of friends that went here, then they left, and I was wondering why. Then it was like lies here and there, different opinions, and I just had like mixed emotions when I came. When I came, it was like a brotherhood to me. It was like a brother. Like I felt accepted automatically.
Wow.
Like when I went to other schools, I shadowed. It
Yeah.
it didn't feel like home. I came here and it was like, yo, it's here. I'm home.
So you really, once you got here, you felt at home.
Yeah.
What made you feel at home at Canisius and
Like-
not at the other schools?
it was like kids I never seen before just automatically just said hi, hello. Like it was.
That was important to you.
Yes.
And so that's kind of like what you all are in the goal of the union, but there was no union real active when you first got here.
Right. It was like you get that shock of shyness, and then like when people come up to you, it's just like you feel more comfortable. It's like Xenia hospitality.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
real interesting take to say I felt at home.
Yeah, and I'm only because I know him because he's one of my players. Tell them what you want to do for your career.
All right, when I do for my career, I was looking at the radiology, and then I was like, you know what, I want to be a biochemist.
Oh,
Yeah.
where did that come from?
see,
A biochemist. Where did that thought even come from that you
Well-
want to be a biochemist?
Most of the females in my family is in the medical field. My mom is a nurse right now, and I was like, you know what, let me do it because I'm actually good. Like, I help a lot of people in my family when they get sick. And, like, I make them feel comfortable. I get them back. It's like a jump start. When your battery die, you get somebody else. It's like me. I do that. So I help them a lot, and I'm like, you know what, I'm a helping hand, and I just want to help others, see
Yeah.
others prosper. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah. So do you agree that the school you came from added character to you?
Yes, a lot of character.
Yeah.
I feel like they made me more a talkative person because at first I was like a real quiet kid and I ain't really like talking to nobody. I used to exclude myself. Nobody used to exclude me. They wanted to put me in, but I exclude myself just because
Wow.
I didn't want to talk to anybody.
And you're self-aware. All right. So and then you had to change that up.
Yes.
How many hours a day you study average?
I want to say I don't study, but I study for the biology the most.
Man, I should have went to Canisius. They gonna keep saying they don't study. I don't study. He said I just study for the day of the test.
they said I just show up.
But you're doing well.
Yes.
And you wouldn't trade it.
No, not at all.
So are you going to leave Buffalo?
No, I don't look forward to it.
Really? You want to stay?
Yeah,
Why?
it's my hometown. I want to support.
All right. So let's get down to it. Civil rights. And when I was doing some reading before I came here, Black student unions, of course, were big in the 70s and 60s when students of color, especially on college campuses, where they really originated from, and where students of color felt that learning institutions were unfair to them in grading policy, and not just the learning institution, but the whole United States was up in arms and changing. Where do you stand right now on race relations? Not at Canisius, but I want to talk globally now. How do you feel about race relations and injustices? What's the most important injustice you think is happening now? Anybody?
I think the biggest injustice is self-inflicted, and I think the biggest injustice we have, I think it's against each other.
Wow.
I think that when I look at other races, there's always something that holds them together. Even if they're over here and they've 8 generations removed, you're Polish, I'm Polish, we're cool. But I just feel like it's not fair that when I walk to certain neighborhoods, I should be on edge around my own people. I shouldn't have to.
Wow.
When I see other people out in public, I should not know you, even though you go to my school. Right. But I never saw that. I never approached it.
Do you have any idea of why? Because I agree with you that I've asked that question so many times I bury a lot of young people from homicides. I do a lot of funerals. We just did one yesterday. I'm burying girls now, a lot more. I think we do over half of the homicide funerals from our church. I ask that same question all the time. What do you think it is?
I think we're lost. And I don't mean that like I feel like we really don't know. There's a lot of things in America that are set up a certain way for you to get ahead. And as long as we've been free, quote unquote, it hasn't been that long, really. It hasn't been that many years. 150, it's not that much. So we don't know how to play the game yet, and we don't know how to play the game. You get what you can get, and what you can get is from people near you. So you got something I want, I don't know other way to get it. I know how to get a gun, and then, you know what I mean? So it's just, we don't know any other way.
Yeah. Wow.
As we begin to mature and more people get into other ventures, I think we'll do better. But just as of right now, how we are, this is just what we've known, and it's the culture that we've shown, and there's more and it's deeper, but this is where we're at right now. So I think it's going to take time and consciousness, but I think we're just within each, the black man, the black man, the black woman, and the black man. I think it's just a lot of stuff is just not working right now, not functional. But as those relationships begin to heal, I'm praying that it'll be better. But right now, I think we just don't know kind of what we're doing.
Deep. Wow. Anybody else? That's a deep thought, brother. Deep thought.
Yeah, I really like what Austin said there. For me, I'd have to say it's probably the view that we have toward, like, the way people view us. Like, they see, like, oh, especially, like, in the education system, it's like, okay, slavery happened, then Jim Crow, all right, but then slavery ended, and then, like, Civil Rights Act, cool, we have a black president, racism over. And that's probably the most frustrating thing to see, because nowadays you see so many racially based, injustices, but they're not being claimed as racial. At least everyone else doesn't see them as racial. Even though, like, it really is. They'll say, oh, no, it's not a racial issue, it's a poverty issue. It's like, well, racial issue and poverty issues, they combine a lot of times. It's not that simple. So even, like, today, right, people are like, oh, no, like, we're in New York, can't be racist, blah, blah, blah. But the first event we went to, like, the BSU, it was because a student on the Orchard Park girls basketball team had racial,
I saw that,
remarks made to her. So I was really happy that we were able to come together and support her for that. But for me, it's really frustrating to hear from people that have never experienced racism, like, oh, it's not a thing, or at least, like, it's not a thing here, but it's just not the case.
So let me keep going around the room. What do you think? And let me give you my opinion. Do you know one of the things I think the greatest injustice right now is education?
Absolutely.
Because if you look even throughout this pandemic, the students who will be most negatively affected in their future, and this is no knock on public education, because my children have gone
you said this before.
Yes,
so
I've said it. This isn't new.
Time.
Are those right now in public school. And it's for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
It's not because it'll be, oh, he was talking against teachers. Nope, because we have some terrific teachers out there, some terrific principals. I think it's the entire system. and the way it's funded and those things. And so to me, until we get education right, where students like you all who are here at Canisius, this should be duplicated
Everywhere.
everywhere. It should not just be if we can afford or I can get a scholarship, but every student, whether it's at Tapestry or whether it's at McKinley,
Yeah.
every young person should have an education. What do you think the greatest injustice right now?
We lost, and when we try to search, we not finding what we're searching for, and then we get inflicted by others that's trying to search too. But we inflict each other to bad pathways and not the good ones. We put positive thoughts into negative thoughts, which lead us to bad situations.
How do we change that?
We just gotta come together, think positive. You gotta think positive on a right path. We can't look right or left. We gotta stick together and just go forward. Let nobody else get between us.
Yeah, and that's a big lift. Do you feel being at a Canisius that you are isolated from those injustices?
No.
Talk to me, Tim. It seems like you got an opinion on that.
So no, not at all. I don't even think we're isolated from the situations. Actually, I feel like we're almost highlighted in those situations, and I say that because of this. So you'll see these injustices, you'll see these tragedies, you'll see all this stuff happening in the world, especially relating to us. And then we'll try to relate to it. We'll be like, oh yeah, that's so this and that. We'll feel bad. And then you'll have certain people that will come in and say, oh, y'all don't deal with that. Y'all special black. Y'all don't deal with that stuff. Y'all don't hurt the way we hurt.
Wow. Is that true?
Yes.
Huh?
Is that true?
Yes.
Is it true what they're thinking? That you don't hurt the same way. You're getting a great education. You've got your parents. You're not in poverty.
I say we all hurt differently. I say we hurt different than they do. Yeah, there are some people who are closer. There are some people who can relate deeper because they've had their own relatives. They had friends that have been lost. They've had families that have lost. So they can really sympathize with those situations and those people. But there are ways that, we are affected by it too. And I feel like just because we're in a certain financial situation or we're at a certain school or we walk a certain way and we wear certain clothes, that we shouldn't be excluded from our own problems. And we shouldn't feel like we're being sheltered from the realities that are going outside of these four walls.
You answered very quickly yes. What were you answering yes to?
We are not like it's the same. We are not the same. We feel the same way.
Wow. What were you about to say, Mark?
I was going to say, being coaching here, I would say I think I even came in with some of that. They're privileged. They're not in the grind. Like you said, we do most of the homicides. So we see the grind.
Yes.
Weekly almost. But coaching and getting to know certain players and stuff like that, I quickly began to realize they experience the same black experience. They're not all coming from two-family homes. They're not all coming from the white picket fence. Some live right on the middle of the east side, but they just had a parent that was determined that said, I'm not giving my kid the status quo, and I want them to get out and experience. And I think the minute we can understand, that's why I promote, go to a Canisius, go test at St. Joe's, go test the time. Just to, if you're not getting what you need from one school, then go find it.
Yeah.
And because like you said, some of this we're only going to get out by education.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
I was just gonna say it's a hard line to draw where I think it's mostly a psychological thing where I don't feel like we have to move past the point where we're attaching experience. Not that experiences don't matter to you and your identity, but I think the whole you don't feel that same black struggle as you do because you go to these better schools. I think that can also be a common factor of why. Growing up, I didn't see a lot of obviously I was blessed to be surrounded by parents who they got the degrees, they got everything and it was weird for me to see it's different when you see somebody that looks like you in a position that's not dribbling a basketball, throwing a football, rapping. There's so much more that's out there, and I think that's a common goal of the BSU, is to show kids that look like us, like, the options that you've been shown, you are not limited to.
Right,
It's
right.
just what they're going to show you because that's where they want you to be.
Absolutely.
But you have to figure out where you want to be, so you can't, I don't think, it's more of like a mental cage when you're thinking, like, the experience isn't the same, because I know when we're not wearing these Canisius uniforms and we're not wearing these shirts and ties, I look the same as any other kid that walks out. They don't see Canisius High School. Anybody else, they just see that's a black kid.
Yeah.
They don't see the aspirations. They don't see any of that. So I think to say that the struggle isn't the same, when none of us are sitting up here crying about ourselves like, oh, we should get to feel bad too. It's more just like we're just exposing the fact that we are all sharing the same common struggles. Despite our pursuits, despite the positions that we've put ourselves in, it's all the same.
All right. Wow. It's good answers. I mean, very unexpected answers, very welcome answers. And this is why we do this show, so that we can hear real perspective. I don't want to go around and hear the canned answers. The real answers. It's a different struggle. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the biggest injustices that I believe the black community is facing right now is our representation and perception by the world. When it came to the civil rights movement, I believe we were being perceived as lesser than human, degraded, even made resemblance to animals because of our, facial features. And, that just pushed the narrative that people thought we were less than.
Yeah, yeah.
And going forward in today, I feel like that's still prevalent with the mass shootings of black women and black men due to gun violence, or not gun violence, but even though that is something, but police brutality and excessive use of action.
Yeah.
Some things that can be easily prevented by I don't know how to role play the situation, but a police officer coming up to the car and simply going on about what needs to be done. Oh, it was you failed to make a left turn.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Going about it doesn't need to be okay. Step out the car, and
Yeah,
feeling some
yeah.
sense of harm.
Yeah. Role models. Who's been the most influential person in your life?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother?
Yeah.
And I'll come back to you. Your grandmother. Tell me why.
She taught me a lot. She put me through a lot. Not put me through a lot in a bad situation.
He might have put her through a lot.
Yeah, put her through a lot. You know what I mean? But
might
she
be
put me
very
through a
true.
lot of situations to where I had to actually use my brain and think of survival instincts.
Okay.
Like, I would put an example. Okay, she had all her bills paid, right? But she shut the gas off, so I couldn't use the stove. And she was like, now you gotta learn how to use the stove. And I'm like, okay, cool. She had matches sitting on the counter. I'm like, let me take the matches and turn the gas on and light it. I lit it up. She's like, that's exactly how you're supposed to do it. She taught me other things, how to build and craft. And also, she taught me how to read. Not read as in, oh, I don't know how to read.
Right.
It was the comprehension of the book and more. She just exposed me to more. Then my mother also exposed me to more of survival.
But your grandmother, that's the one.
Yeah, that's like my hero.
And I know you wanted to comment on the last question.
Yeah, I had a question. So when we were talking about the biggest injustice, you were talking about education. And so my question is this: within education, when I believe that it's ourselves, and you said education, but here's my question: when you're in school, and you're in these public schools, is it not our own people that try to keep us down? So when I was the kid, I used to love reading, and I got laughed at for that. How is it okay that my own people can laugh at me for trying to better myself? So I'm asking you, when these kids say they want to be doctors, and at these public schools, when I was saying, are we not the ones keeping us down? Do you not think education and ourselves in education do not play a role in keeping us where we are?
I don't know how to answer that really, except to say that when we talk about education, we talk about the equality of education and the resources of education. I'll give you an example. We're sitting in a room right now that looks better than my living room. It's the senior lounge. It's right? You're not gonna have some of those resources in another school, or the quality and the attention of certain specialty teachers and those type of things. The question of holding down, because that seems to be a big one for you, because that's what you started at, I think is something that culturally we have to deal with. And we have to deal with it in every area. And it's going to become your responsibility, actually, as I start to inch toward retirement and you start to inch toward leadership. It will be your generation that's going to have to make that change. And I think one of the reasons we enjoy like coming to Canisius and other schools is to remind you all that you have a responsibility, especially to, and you're fulfilling it now. I mean, even looking at the union here, you have a responsibility too. So we all have a responsibility. Yeah, good question. Most influential person.
My most influential person, I don't know my dad might hear this, but it's probably my mom.
Okay.
Since I was young, she always had a business, and what kind of stuck out with me was.
Tell me what kind of business.
So she has done a lot of things. She left her job, and then she did. When I was young, I didn't even know, but she did. She had a while. She was doing streaming services, and now she does kind of training for people, and she does counseling, business counseling. But what I saw when I was young wasn't so much the job, but what I saw was what it allowed her to do. How it allowed her to provide for the family, but provide without sacrificing her time. She could still do what she wanted to do. So since I was young, it always kind of clicked with me that I wanted to own a business because the one resource you don't get back in life is time.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
You can sacrifice whatever, but you'll never get your time back. And so what a business will allow you to do is take back that time. You get your money right. You have things that are making you money, passive income, and then you can go live your life.
Yeah.
You can spend time with people you care about. You can take care of people you care about. You can donate. You can be philanthropic. So I think for my mom, what she's done for me, not only what she sacrificed getting me here, but just how she's lived her life has basically formed where I want to go. Only thing I want to do is just do more so I can give back more.
I have a feeling you're not going to work a 9 to 5.
I hope not.
I just have this feeling that he's not going to be like the one behind the desk all day. He's going to be like in the car, like, oh, I got to run over here. I got to fly to Italy. Most influential person in your life.
So like Austin, this is Jerry here. The most influential person in my life has to be my mom. So she sacrificed her dream and like her whole life just to bring me and my brother to America. So coming to America, she knew like in America we would have an education. And, like that's like something like not given in other countries. So just with education, like
Where you came from, would you have been in high school right now?
I'll probably be fighting in a war.
Wow.
Well, you have family that's still there?
Yeah.
Are they fighting?
I don't even know. Most of them are either dead or fighting.
Wow. How does that affect you?
It just like, it drives you.
Yeah.
It's like a burden, you know?
That's deep. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that, brother. Thank you. Most influential person.
For me, it's definitely my dad for sure. I don't want to give him too much credit. If he's listening,
Not too much credit.
if he's listening, he'll talk about it for the next 3 weeks, and I won't hear the end of it.
What's your dad's name? I hope somebody tells him.
Craig. So for him, it's
Something with those Craig.
there's like a psychology term. It's called functional fixedness, right? And it's when you can only associate like an object with doing one purpose. So if you have a wrench, you can only wrench stuff with it. Screwdriver, you can only screw things in with it. But for me, like my dad kind of showed me like you can really do whatever you want. Like he became he graduated from City Honors, like top of his class, became a state trooper, and then is now working at ECMC. And he just loves to work. He just loves his job. So for me, just being able to see him be happy with what he's doing just kind of gave me more passion to be like, okay, like this is a route I can really choose whatever route I want to do.
Yeah.
And like I can succeed at it. So it was really nice to see from him like he's a role model for me. No shade on my mom or anything. Of course, she's great too. Love my mom, but for
it's
me,
your dad.
It's my dad. Yeah.
I think every father in the world wants to hear that, and I think every mother in the world wants to hear that. Interesting, because all of you chose your parents so far. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really influential people in my life. I'd probably, of course, give credit to my father and parents, but probably my father, solely because the fact that he showed me, he raised me to be very self-aware, not only of how I view myself, but how other people view me. And ever since I was young, he's always tried to put me in positions where I can see other black men that are in positions of power or intelligence or influence or anything like that. And to really I remember when I was younger, my dad always used to tell me, when we would watch the news and like ESPN, he'd be like, this is all that they're going to show you. They're only going to show you athlete,
Yep.
performer, something that not it benefits us, but it's really for the entertainment of others.
Yeah.
To where you become just like a symbol or something like that. But he said you have to be real and you have to choose what you want to do, because nobody's ever going to show you the platform that you can give, because that's how you make real change.
Yeah.
And that's not what they want.
It's interesting you say that, because I was watching a news show this morning, and they were talking about the pandemic. And they said, we're going to have Dr. Such and Such on. And I was doing something in the mirror. I didn't look. Then when I heard the voice, it was an African-American doctor. I wanted to take a picture. Like, I was so excited, right, that they chose an African-American doctor to talk about the pandemic. And the first African-American doctor I ever met was my dentist, Dr. Archer, who my dad ended up taking care of as he was passing, and his wife. That was the first black doctor I ever saw. Every filling in my mouth, Dr. Archer put in,
Yeah, that was my dad's mentor.
Was it really? Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, he was just a wonderful man. Who do I have? Who did you just bring to join us before?
So I brought the incoming, newly named principal.
Is this who I just read about?
This is exactly who you just read about. Tom Coppola, the 25th principal of the prestigious.
Mr. Coppola, welcome to Power to the People radio show, and to our audience. We have the newest principal. Welcome. And you got on the right shirt, Buffalo Bills.
Amen. Go Bills.
Yes.
First, thank you so much for being here, for allowing our students to tell their stories, and to engage in real conversation, which is important. While next year I will be the principal, I'm the dean of students. I've been the dean of students for 8 years. This is my alma mater.
Wow.
I love this school. My great-grandfather went to this school.
Wow.
Got off the boat in 1900 as a 5-year-old boy from Italy, graduated from Canisius High School in 1913, and changed the trajectory of my family's life, right? They were laborers in Italy, and only 4 generations later, I'm sitting here. So it's an incredible story.
Wow.
And so while some of our stories are different, there's a common thread, I think, that exists in all of them.
What's your vision for Canisius going forward?
Sure. First of all, we're going to build on the great work that is the foundation of who we are. Jesuit education is something that I am passionate about and believe deeply in, making it accessible to all people in our community, to continue to educate people from all over Western New York, from our backyard here in the city of Buffalo, all the way from Lewiston to Fredonia. We have students from Canada. We have students that visited us all fall from Germany. So to continue to be that dynamic of a place. In terms of this conversation, and specifically to shout out this group, the Black Student Union and the guys that envisioned this, first of all, I told them this at the start, they're not the first. There was a group, there was a BSU here in the 1970s that had a very different focus. Jacob came to me and he said, I really want a young person, specifically a young person of color in our community, to have a role model, to have a connection with somebody that's older.
Wow.
And I don't want a freshman to feel like I did, where I was unsure of who was, and so we have a platform for that and real mentorship, and I think that's just an incredible thing. And so I'm so grateful that you are here, that they had an opportunity to speak.
Let me ask you this, and then we're off, getting ready to go off the air. When he first came to you, was there any hesitancy or thought of, why do we need this?
No, not at all. And not from me, but from Father Ciancimino, from Ms. Turpek, our principal, Father Ciancimino, who is our president. This is important. Each year, until COVID, we had an alum come back, a young alum come back and speak to all of our students of color. We got together, we had lunch, someone who looked, sounded, and had the experience that they had. David Karambisi, class of 2010, he was the last guy to come back, went to Nativity of Miguel, just like Jerry did. And David said to this entire group, he said, I've gone to Brown University. I'm going to get an MD and a PhD in the next year. Dale Hodge, who spoke before him, had an MD and a PhD from Albert Einstein College in New York City. He said, Canisius High School has to be the place for black scholars, right? That was David's message to you. And I want to continue to promote that and to live it.
Well, I want to thank you for what you've done and for what you are going to do. Listen, folks, I got to get ready to go, but you know, I don't accept a lot of invitations to speak during Black History Month. I think I've got one coming up at a college.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because some people want me to come and speak so that I can change an entire culture in one speech. It doesn't work. everybody wants a black pastor, Baptist pastor in the Black History Month. But the question is, what are you doing the other months? What are you doing with staff? What are you doing with students? What are you doing to make your place, whether it's your place of worship or whether it's your school, your mosque, what are you doing to make people feel welcome? And not just lip service, but really having a heart to learn other people, learn other cultures. So one thing we have in common, we've all got to share this world together. I'm throwing it back over to the station. Thank you to Hobson's, the doctor of dry cleaning, and thank you to Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes for sponsoring this show. Lee, until next week, power to the people.